In the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the minutes of the December 2nd meeting. What action would you like to take?
Move to accept as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor? Aye, 3-0 in favor. Finance, good morning.
Before you have warrant number 92 in the sum of $203,117.09. Vast majority of this was our monthly transfer tax to the state of Maine.
I move to approve accounts payable warrant number 92, $203,117.09.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Any questions?
Just one question. The transfer tax is how many, what's the period that covers?
That was November.
Just for a monthly
Yeah.
thing? Okay. Is there, so we just have a month float, I guess, to benefit when we collect those funds, right? From,
Correct.
you know, it's just a pass through. So, but we're able to collect some interest hopefully on
A little bit.
that. Okay, great, cool. That's all I had for question.
Next item.
Whoops, also go for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do we bother and do that sort of thing today?
I have to do the minutes this time, so yes, you do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Okay.
Now
moving to
next.
Payroll. This is payroll warrant number 25 in the sum of $420,333.66. This included $154,000 worth of union payouts. So that's why it's so high.
For what?
compared-
Payout?
Union
You-
contract payouts.
Great. Move to approve payroll warrant 2525-25 for $420,333.66.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 in favor.
In November, I met with a representative from Maine PERS to talk about another deferred compensation plan. We've been experiencing some trouble with our retirees getting their money from Voya when they go to do draws or start doing their required minimum deferrals or draws. And I would like permission to bring in their program called Maine Start. It's a 457 plan that offers the same sort of investment vehicle that Voya offers. It also comes with a comprehensive financial planner that will come in annually or every 6 months and meet with employees for free. There's no administrative costs on our part other than a couple of clicks in Trio to get it going.
I'm not sure Voya is, since they changed some staff people, they don't come in as often as they used to, do they?
Our rep does come in, it's usually during the day and we send out a notice to employees, but there isn't a whole lot of participation. Staff,
I used to hear more than I do now. So that-
yeah, I think people just, they meshed with the former rep a little bit better than they do with the current one.
With which one?
The current representative, the former one, Karen, when Karen retired, I think that some of the folks that had relationships with her just never really built those with the new rep.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. So you'd like to bring someone in?
Yeah, I have basically a plan document similar to what we have with Voya in front of me. I'd like permission to sign and bring this available to the staff for 1/1.
Is there a difference in the administration that would need to be done or any costs?
Nope,
or
it's just-
different. than-
It's just a couple of clicks in Trio for me to establish a new deduction code and
Right. And we're not committed to Voya for any period of time.
Well, we earlier when we took on Voya, we also already had before that someone else.
Yeah.
Who,
Mass
Fi-
Mutuals, I
fi-
believe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
was that?
Mass Mutual before.
Yes, and that sort of phased out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Voya is still the only one here now.
And this is part of the main PERS, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
So, like,
It's a complementary program to PERS.
Okay.
It's so PERS is a pension program and Voya's or Main Start is a 457.
Right, but it's still
But they-
within their,
yeah, they go side
their
by side.
management, their
Right.
board, everybody, yeah.
They also offer more one-on-one financial planning that Voya has a tool that you can get online and use. If staff doesn't understand what the tool does, they're not going to use it. They have representatives that will come down and sit with staff and help them understand their planning and what it means. So
And
it's
yeah.
free, and it's something that I think a lot of our staff would appreciate.
so we need to have a motion on that.
yes,
I would like permission to sign the plan document with them and bring it in.
so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Next, I would like permission to go through at the end of the fiscal year when we close books and assign $285,000 to commitment for taxes. That's gonna put our tax increase to 1.5 instead of the 3.42. Each year we talk about how much we're gonna give back to the towns. Last year it was 265,000. If we do 285 this year, it'll bring us down to that 1.5% increase on our commitment. And then I would like to take the rest of that unassigned fund balance and replenish our reserves for capital and our other not unassigned fund balance, but our special revenues. Thank you. Think cramp.
So, but to start with, you wanted to change some numbers?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. Last year we gave back 265,000 to the towns. I'd like to give back 285 this year. That's gonna bring the tax increase from 342 to 15. And then with the rest of the fund balance, replenish our reserves.
Okay,
Move to approve, the allocation of $285,000 to the tax commitment.
Second.
any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
And now do we need to do a separate vote on the allocation of the rest to the on fund balance, or is that just?
No, I don't think so.
You're gonna wanna move it to reserve, right?
Yeah, but
So you need a vote for
So
that.
we need a vote,
Yeah.
okay, move to allocate the remainder of the unassigned fund balance to the reserve account.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
3-0 in favor.
And finally, I would like permission to update and sign our Lincoln County recycling contracts with our Kennebec County towns. Each year, we do this in December, and then I send them out as the contracts expire. I'd like to get them on a 1/1 cycle. Everybody kind of ends with their current calendar year or fiscal year, excuse me, and it creates a little bit of chaos, making sure that we're staying in contract with these towns.
Could you list them?
Georgetown,
Yep,
Pittston, Windsor,
Union,
Warren.
Yep.
And the contract increase is based on percentage of the department?
yes,
So whatever our department increase goes up annually for recycling, we allocate that to the recycling contracts as well.
which this year will be 10.3.
I'll move to approve the recycling contract renewals for 2026 for the out-of-county towns.
Second that.
Any questions? We've been doing this for quite a few years now. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Is the season.
Usually that means that.
Morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Mr. Chair, it looks like our count this morning out at Two Bridges is 171. We have 31, 23 from SAG, 39 from Knox, 50 from Penobscot, 18 from Waldo, excuse me, 3 from the Marshal Service and 7 from ICE.
Thank you.
Busy agenda today. If you don't have any questions on the count, I'll move right along. I have 3 animal control contracts that I recommend we renew. The first, I think, is the town of Bristol. Same changes as your last meeting would be the dates and the amount for the animal control officer are the only changes, really. Bristol is the first one.
Move to approve the contract renewal for animal control for Bristol.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 in favor.
Thank you. The second one I have is for Somerville with those same changes.
Move to approve animal contract renewal for Somerville.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 in favor.
Thank you. How many give them some time to look at
Slow
it?
Other-
Well, don't give him too many papers. Just
Yeah.
Let us run through their favorites and then give them, stack them up with.
What about fleeking a pay raise for me?
There you go. It's something in there.
Those ones are not.
I'm trying to find.
Do you have a lighter? we could-
There's 2 here, but I.
Yeah, there's 2 contracts because we.
Oh, there,
keep
there it is.
original. Yep.
Go ahead and flip that right to the signature page, will you?
That one's easy, someone bring it up both sides.
We're gonna do Westport as we're.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
last ACO contract I have with the same changes is for Westport Island.
Move to approve the renewal of the animal control contract for Westport Island.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 in favor.
Can you spend 30 seconds on the breakdown of how our shellfish enforcement contracts work?
Sure. Our shellfish is similar to ACO in this, it preceded it for us on the timeline. So there are a number of towns who have local shellfish harvestation ordinances, right, and management ordinances. So we contract with several of those towns to provide the local clam warden, shellfish warden services, right? And those are based on the town's budget, and it's an hourly rate. And the rate varies, right? It's not a set rate. It varies depending on who's assigned to do it. We have a couple of deputies who have been trained, had the shellfish enforcement training from DMR to provide those services. So it's billed on an hourly basis. To provide those services to the towns. The only thing that's really unique about it in the sense is that the town of Bremen has a boat that they purchased that we use to access Bremen, Long Island, parts of Louds, other parts of some areas that are off. They're in the Madomic River there that we can't reach from shore. Right, so we've had that boat, we store it, the town owns it and maintains it. We store it and use it, probably for the last 15 years,
Quite a while. Yeah.
and quite a while. It's a 16.5-foot flat bottom, skiff, if you will. And does that answer your questions, Commissioner? I mean, it's yeah.
Yep.
So how does that relate to what the Marine Patrol does or the Warden Service, the State Warden Service?
Well, the state warden service does inland stuff,
Inland,
right?
okay,
Right, so Marine Patrol does any state violations, right? So so this is solely
local
local
ordinance.
ordinances, right?
Okay.
Marine Patrol won't enforce local ordinances,
Okay.
right? They just do state law.
State.
So it could be a dual violation if somebody's digging in a closed area
Right.
that's closed by the state, and it's also closed by the town. It could be a dual violation. State, I mean, the towns have some ability, I think, to manage their flats. The chief is way more versed in it than I am. He's had the training himself. He was, or maybe still is, a member of the Bremen Shellfish Committee for the town of Bremen as a former resident down there. I may be off in that.
No, you're spot on. The law allows towns to set up conservation ordinances to control access to the resource and. And the state has maintained there's a 10% rule, so in most cases, it's primarily local people working on those local flats, but a certain percentage have to be from out of town. And we enforce basically the majority of the issues that got to do with people being on those flats who have town licenses. And the Marine Patrol does a lot of the other stuff. We work together, communicate with each other and stuff like that, so.
This has only to do with shellfish.
Right, got it.
And it may be a surprise where most of the shellfish comes. Where? In Maine. A third of all the clams are dug in Madomic Brook.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. But I would move that we approve the
Bremen.
marine law enforcement contract.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0 in favor.
That one.
We'll move to approve marine law enforcement services contract renewal for town of Bristol.
Second,
Any questions? All in favor?
but just, are they all the same, essentially?
Yeah, the contracts are essentially the same.
Essentially.
There are some nuances. For example, I think the Bremen contract talks about the
Because
boats,
of the boat.
you know what I mean, and things like that. But
The
yeah,
dollar amounts may be different. Each town allocates
Okay.
different
Right.
amount of force.
they set their own budgets, you know what I mean, and we just operate within their budgets.
Okay. And that, by that, you allocate your time based on that
Right,
budget.
yeah.
That's-
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0 in favor.
Move to approve South Bristol, marine law enforcement contract.
Seconded.
Those in seconded, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0 in favor.
The next item I have, as you sign that last contract is our, I'm gonna call it an amended renewal. To our, contract with the state of Maine. A judicial branch for court security services. Traditionally, it's a 2-year contract. And what's traditionally been a brand new contract every 2 years. Now, the state has decided that they're just gonna amend the contract. So this is an amendment to the 2-year contract that we have now, which extends it. It's in the amount of $284,529, which is a 5% increase over our current contract. And it would extend from January 1st of this year through the end of December 31st, 2027. Which would be a 2-year extension, standard contract. It's my recommendation that we accept the contract amendment with the state.
Move to approve the amendment of the contract for.
Yeah, and I need your authorization to sign this one. This is one of the ones that has my signature on it.
If you want.
Move to authorize the sheriff to,
Actually, I already,
I know, did you
Okay.
say that part?
Sorry.
that would be the second motion.
Yeah.
Okay, second, whatever.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Thank you.
Actually, just to clarify, does that include the screening in the front or just upstairs?
It does. It
Security.
includes screening. It includes screening hours, and our time in the courtrooms, right? And, grand juries, things of that
Right.
nature. What it doesn't include, right, is the county picks up, the difference between like days when the court shut down, but county offices are still open. You know what I mean? So there's, it doesn't cover 100% of our court security costs, right? It covers the majority of those. And the county had opted several years ago to pick up the difference. It allows us to have every time the county offices are open, there are security officers here,
So
regardless of whether the court's in session or not.
So that part of the personnel that we use sort of is the way to say, and then different from what the state uses.
Right.
Right. Okay. But we cover the costs of what it takes to serve the state.
Right, we pay it up front, and then we bill the state, they reimburse us, like, yeah,
Okay.
Michelle takes care of all that billing.
Not
You
yet.
did?
Yes, we did. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next item I have is a purchase authorization for a duty ammunition purchase. From AAA Police Supply, after, we did a round of, bids, got 3 different quotes. This was the best, the lowest quote we were able to get for our duty ammunition, $5,758, which is a budgeted amount.
Move to approve the purchase of duty ammunition at the rate of $5,758.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any questions?
Yes. How often do you have to purchase?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, we
So this is
try to
the
replace
one
it once a year, one time,
for
yeah.
2026,
20.
25 and then-
20, we just
Yeah.
actually, this will probably cover us into next year. We just handed out last year's ammo. We
Right.
had some issues with the range dates, at the Lincoln County Rifle Club,
Mhm.
just only because of some repairs that they need to do over there at the club. So our range was late this year. We just did it last month here in Wiscasset.
Okay.
At the range, so that's why our purchase is a little behind this year from normal, but so the ammunition that you're just authorizing right here, that hasn't, we haven't got it yet?
No.
Yeah, that'll be
Okay.
shipped and that
Shipped.
will actually be
Yeah.
used in 26, and in
Right.
26 we'll do the same thing probably for 27.
And do you do firearm training once a year or just throughout the year?
We do it twice a year,
Twice. a
at
year.
least twice
Okay.
a year, yeah. Full range at least twice a
And
year.
it complete, everybody goes through
Gets
that.
everybody through, yeah, it's mandatory requirements, part of it's required by the state.
Mhm.
You know what I mean, is regular annual training for our, to maintain our licenses,
Right.
so to speak,
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
thank you. The next item I have, you had authorized us to apply for a highway safety speed grant. We've been awarded that grant in the amount of $9,900. I just need your authorization to accept those funds from Department of Highway Safety, or Bureau of Highway Safety, excuse me, for the 2026 speed enforcement.
Move to accept the Bureau of Highway Safety's 2026 speed grant.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
oops, to say, can you quickly remind us what the grant's gonna cover or do?
So it covers exactly what it says, is we will be doing some, what will likely be overtime, special details assigned to do just traffic
Just
speed enforcement.
Yeah.
I don't know, it may come with 2 radar units. As part of that, we'll get 2 brand new radar units for participating in the grant. Which are about $3,000 a piece.
Wow.
They're not cheap. So it's just directed enforcement throughout the year.
Mhm.
Well, there are deadlines. I'm not
Right.
exactly sure when the deadlines are, but through 2026 for just directed speed enforcement.
And this allows you to do more enforcement than what you would have otherwise. That
Yes.
isn't- Yeah, great.
Anything else, Dave? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 in favor.
Let's see. The next item I have is I came into my office Monday, and I had an email, from, Ron Rollins, who recently retired and has expressed his interest in coming back, into his position. That really wouldn't be available to him until January 1st. So my recommendation would be that we rehire Ron Rollins, post-retirement to return to his, position as a detective sergeant, effective January 1st, 2026.
Is there a motion?
Yes, move to approve the rehire of Detective Sergeant Ronald Rollins.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 in favor.
Probably watching on TV to see if there's a job right
There we go. Well, congratulations.
I did have a little fun with him and told him the only position I really had available was the midnight shift and patrol. You know what I mean? So he might have to work overnights for a while, work his way back in.
Mhm.
There you go.
It's only right.
Ron is a great asset to us.
Right.
You heard me when I'm really glad that he's.
Now we have one
staying.
more item.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I hear you.
He's not getting up to run away. He's
No, I
gonna
was getting up. to
show us
some
some
pictures.
photos. Yeah.
I'm asking your permission to apply for a grant through the Department of Public Safety. It's a burn, I don't know, it's the burn critical infrastructure weapons store grant, right? So, our current evidence room, you're welcome to come over and see it sometime if you haven't. I get some pictures there of part of our room that where we store firearms. Currently, we have just firearms and weapons related, and other related weapons. We have space, physical space, brackets where we can put them safely and keep them apart, clean, safe, dry, which we're responsible for while we have them for about 170 firearms. There are 540 firearms in those pictures. It's squeezed into that space, right? As you know, we've renovated a part of the old jail, one of the old cell blocks. To do that, it's worked really well. What this grant would allow us to do is cut a hole in the wall from where the evidence room is now into the next cell block over, which is B block, and just use the two cells that are back to back with the current cells that we use, as one room. So it would fund the construction for cutting a doorway to get from the current cell block through the wall, so we can keep it secure. In other words, we can permanently lock the doors on the other side, not allow any access, probably weld those shut completely, so it keeps the integrity of one access to our evidence room. And that will allow us to double the space that we have, more than double the space that we have for firearm storage. It'll get the 330 plus weapons or so that we have, that you see in those photos in boxes on the floor, up off the floor, properly stored, and things like that. I could send some of these if you need them, but. So the grant will fund this, right? We got some estimates, they're just estimates, but we'd like to apply for $18,893, which would include the masonry work, that would need to be done, and the building of the frames, similar to the wooden ones you saw in there, so we could put the firearms in. They'll have to be cataloged, they all get a barcode, you know what I mean, and are entered in our system as evidence of property. Part of my concern is that what you see there is ranges from our evidence weapons that were used in a crime. Many of those are weapons that are temporarily stored due to protection from abuse orders, domestic violence situations where the court has ordered us to seize weapons. In addition to that, we have yellow flag law where weapons have been seized as part of the yellow flag process under Maine's current law. And as you know, Maine's red flag law just passed, and that's going to add another layer of weapons that will likely come into our responsibility to store. It's a temporary fix. seems reasonable if we can get the grant money to do it, even though we're in the process of trying to remedy this with a new building. That's gonna take a little bit of time, so this is kind of a Band-Aid in the interim. The grant opportunity seemed reasonable. I have no idea how competitive it'll be. The state has a little over 600,000 to hand out. Yeah, so I just need I'd like to have your permission to apply, and that's why what we kind of like to do.
So how often does the weapons stay there generally, or do they cycle through? If you're holding one for a crime, obviously you have to wait till probably the end of a trial
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
and
So it really varies, like yellow flags are limited, protection from abuse are limited unless the orders can be for up to a year. And some, many of them are, so we end up storing a number of firearms for a year. The yellow flag law has a 30-day, I think it's now 30 days, review. So it's a minimum of 30 days and then can be extended for 6 months and a year. In different periods of time. And you're right, the evidence guns. And then we have folks who just, have a family member who's maybe passed away or no longer able to care for themselves, and they have these firearms that they don't know what to do, and they just bring them in to get rid of them. And so we have a number of those kind of things. Those ultimately we can tend to be destroyed, later on, kind of thing. So we're able to cycle them through that. But our weapon storage is holding right around 500 consistently, even with the rotation of folks, guns coming in and guns going out.
right.
Yeah.
Which is enough for a medium-sized military
Yeah.
unit.
Right, but even if you get the grant and you expand the space, you're gonna run out of spaces, because it sounds like
Right.
it'll still grow.
Yeah,
and,
so, we're thinking we can add, we got about 330 weapons on the floor in those boxes.
Okay,
So we're thinking we can add about 430 spaces, so it should open up, we're hoping around 100 spaces. We have no idea at this point what impact red flag will have on us, and you know what I mean? So I'm hoping it's not too dramatic, you know what I mean? But we don't know, we won't know until we've experienced it for a while. But it'll give us you're right, not a lot of wiggle room, but a little wiggle room until we're able to, hopefully finalize our new project, our future project.
move to approve the grant submission for weapon storage.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Any other questions? All in favor?
Uh,
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Thank you very much.
Gonna have fun busting through that wall though. That's-
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I have a request to, approve this, job description. You may remember, we talked back along about, how things have changed in law enforcement. We added a civilian position in last year's budget that we haven't yet filled. I came to you earlier this year and we talked in a work session about moving people around, maybe creating a command level position to help alleviate some of these things that are slipping through the cracks in their daily operations and things like that. Carrie and I have been working on this collectively, and really, I think I asked you at the time to combine the positions, the civilian position with a sworn position, and it wasn't my best day in presentations, right? You said no, which is fine. I'm glad you did, because it gave Carrie and I more time to go through this, work on adjusting the civilian position. So what you have before you is a job description for a records and training manager. It'll be a civilian non-sworn position within the sheriff's office. You can see, I'm not going to go right down through it, but it's an administrative management kind of position, which will take on a number of crucial tasks for us. One of the most pressing would be our freedom of access, to request the managing our video, libraries. Helping us research software for redaction and other things to try to streamline that. Help us, with our training, records, documentation. It's a pretty extensive job description, as you can see. I appreciate Carrie's time. I know she's got a lot on her plate, working through it. So we're at a point where, I think we can make it an exempt position. Carrie feels confident we can do that. They will, supervise, the ASP program and the staff that are up there in addition to these duties. It's kind of a catch-all of things that we don't necessarily have to have a badge and a gun attached to. A big part of that will also be helping us manage the property and evidence room, what I was just talking about, firearms coming in and out and things like that. So it's multifaceted.
The evidence, stuff could be handled by a non-sworn,
Yeah, yeah, as far as the property goes, it can, yes.
okay.
Yeah. No, we'll still have a sworn individual. We have two people by design, so if one's on vacation or whatever, because it's a revolving door, stuff coming in and out, so this person will be the manager of it, kind of supervising the property room and take that over. And then we'll still have a sworn person, likely to continue to be Sergeant Rollins when he comes back. As the sworn officer who's involved with and that's all spelled out in internal policy.
So we spent a lot of time identifying what tasks are really being met today at our standards and attempted to try to bring this up to be able to address all those needs. I know that there's a lot of duties that are on various people in the current staff that kind of overwhelms them at times. And in addition to the regular job duties, they're having all these administrative tasks. So if we can pull those tasks away from those current employees and put them with this position, I think that we collectively feel confident that we can address these things properly, thoroughly, correctly. I think that it's well overdue.
During our last meeting, Sheriff, I asked you about your, the difficulty in hiring patrol folks. Is this gonna be, a difficult hire for me to find? It sounds like a unique position formed, particularly for the task needed to be done, and it may not be equivalent at another sheriff's department.
Yeah, well, it is unique. Certainly it's new to us, right? So that's a tough question for me to answer. Traditionally, we haven't had difficulty filling civilian positions,
Okay.
with the exception of the ACO, which isn't really civilian. I mean, they're not deputy sheriffs, but you know what I mean? But that's a unique process. So the way that we have this planned out in the budget, and I think that the way Carrie has it, has taken a look at placing it in the scale, it should make it fairly competitive. You know what I mean? So, and we're looking for a skill set in particular with some folks that have some IT experience, that have some education, and some background in what we're looking for. So that's probably not a great answer for your question,
Right.
Commissioner, but that's our approach is we'll get it posted. And be pretty specific about it. Hopefully I can convince Carrie to be involved in the selection process when the time comes. To do the interviews and stuff like that, and so we can come up with the right individual. I'm hoping that it might be an attractive position. But I don't know. I won't.
And a candidate doesn't necessarily have to come from law enforcement currently. It
not at
sounds
all.
like the skills can come from many sectors.
Yes.
So you have a bigger pool, I guess, of potential people.
But it says here, that they required bachelor's degree or public administration information required.
It's pretty broad. I mean, based on the way this is written, you could have a vast candidate pool. Not necessarily specifically from like a patrol law enforcement deputy in the past, but maybe somebody that's come up through administrative ranks or IT ranks, or there's a wide skill set here. To answer your question a little bit more thoroughly, when we were developing this, I researched what was out there. I didn't find much of anything to base it on
The
in the
equivalent.
state,
Mhm.
but there are similar positions to this across the country. So not that we're gonna be attracting people from out of state, but we might. But this isn't a unique to Lincoln County type of position. It's, unfortunately, I don't have anything to compare it to nearby, but
Mhm.
I think we'll pull in candidates, good
Okay.
ones.
Let's hope.
Looks also like a law degree, you could have that,
It does allow us to
Yeah.
you to recognize relevant experience
Mhm.
in lieu of a degree. Which gives us a little flexibility there as
With
well.
the degree of training once the person's
Right.
on.
Right,
And you'd have to do background checks, all that stuff
Absolutely.
anyways.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Need
Standard
a
procedure.
motion.
The other thing that goes with this is the budget piece of it. And when I looked at where I think this should be graded in our pay scale, our budget isn't quite where we need it. It's pretty darn close though. So if you consider the fact that by the time if you approve this, by the time we post it, interview and all of that will be several months, possibly into the new year, that unused salary would then offset the slightly increased pay scale.
So we just need to approve the job description. Yes, is that
Yes, please.
move to approve the job description as written?
Seconded.
moved and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye, 3-0 in favor.
There you go, Sherry.
thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
The chief especially will be
And
looking for
Do
you.
we have permission to start advertising for it?
Approve the posting of job position for records training manager.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions anymore? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
And I don't want to be presumptuous.
Please do.
Gary asked if I might take one of you.
Nobody else has been bold
Homemade
enough to
cinnamon
open
rolls.
it.
They're for everyone. Everyone
That's
has to
right.
take one.
That's right. Oh, there we go.
There's a plate there.
Grab a napkin for sure, yeah.
That certainly is large enough.
Or you'll have a sticky finger.
If you want to try one of those, I'm not
Round-
ashamed.
round made them.
Oh, right.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas. Hope
Merry
everybody-
Christmas, thank you,
Merry
same to you.
Christmas.
You know they're good.
Yeah. All right, I'll hold you up. Very-
Cover that, please.
I will.
Thank you.
I trust our new building will have a workout room.
A bakery?
Probably a workout room would be better.
No, both.
Yeah, well, why not, right?
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Start.
Yes.
Bringing things
Your-
up.
Your agenda item.
We're here today because we in 2018 or 2019 through Homeland Security funds made a purchase to run an AM radio on Hunt Hill in Newcastle. That again was all installed via Homeland Security funds, and I believe the shed was purchased through capital funds, is what we learned. However, that project, there were some other elements in that project that were not able to be completed because of other budgetary items took precedence. And so we lost the budgeted items or the originally applied items like the backup generator and I guess more some materials to be able to better maintain that site, especially where we're not up there every day. That site has been great for the last couple of years. It's an ideal site for a radio repeater or a public safety repeater. However, the setup and the maintenance to that has been, I guess, a lot more than what our office is able to to continue to maintain. So it's completely run on solar power. And we need a lot more solar power than it is producing to be able to run our AM transmitter and Newcastle Fire repeater that is up there. So every winter I have to shut off the AM transmitter so that Newcastle has the priority because they are the firefighting side of it. So the only element that is functioning is Newcastle Fire repeater up there, and no EMA related equipment is able to function up there. On top of that, we're having to do more maintenance of I'm up there every single storm, every single cold day when I should be in my office operating the EOC, to clean off solar panels, to run a generator, to make sure everything is functioning. Again, everything that's not EMA related. So it's just become very cumbersome. It's become a lot more than our office can handle and maintain at this moment. So we are looking to send a letter of dismissal and termination of use of the Hunt Hill site to the landowners, but also a dismissal of MOU with Newcastle Fire for their repeater site.
So they'll be responsible for the operation of that.
There's a couple of different elements to this. Is we own the solar, the shed that's up there, and a couple of other maintenance or a couple of other elements that are up there. However, we don't need that in the EMA office, so we're willing to allow Newcastle to still utilize that space and have that space, because there's no other space for us to house it or hold it and utilize it. But that is all dependent on what the landowners are also willing to do with Newcastle, the town of Newcastle themselves. Does that make sense? So
What blanks do we need to fill in?
Well, the contract with the landowner allows for termination by either party without any problem.
So
Yeah.
we're going to notify the landowners. And also Newcastle
Mhm.
will understand that it's responsible for running up there after every storm or whatever it's.
depending on if the landowners are willing to allow Newcastle. So the landowners are allowing Lincoln County EMA to house the space and maintain the space. With this no reason for Newcastle to be up there maintaining the space at this moment. So it's dependent on how the landowners feel about Newcastle going up there. If Newcastle is allowed up there, we're able to just leave our shed, our solar, everything. If Newcastle is not, we would have to find another solution to getting all of that equipment off from Hunt Hill and house, store, sell, whatever we want to do with it, if the landowners are not willing to allow any public safety up there anymore.
Can't we just assign whatever contract we have to Newcastle and they can just assume it, or
If
is
the,
there?
if the landowners
are
would-
willing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's in the contract saying that you have to approve any assignment or,
yeah, they need to approve that.
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, and.
The
what's
tower that's there is owned by the landowner.
Mhm.
Oh.
We do not own the tower.
And what's the effect with dispatch? Does that, with the repeater, that
Mm-mm.
does
It's
it
not
diminish the
tied-
signal?
It's not tied to
Okay.
any Lincoln County fire repeater. It's Newcastle's own working frequency repeater. A lot of departments have what's called radio to radio repeaters. However, Newcastle has a functioning fire repeater, so they're able to span further than the 2 miles a radio to radio would be able to do.
Okay,
Ideally,
Hmm.
if the landowners are agreeable, we could assign the shed, the ownership of the shed and the solar panels to Newcastle Fire, and they could then be owners of that
Hmm.
equipment.
Yeah, don't know why they wouldn't want to, but you never know.
If
Yeah.
the landowners aren't agreeable, or if Newcastle Fire's not agreeable, then we'll find another
Right,
solution
right.
for that equipment. But
Right,
at this point, we want to make it available to the folks that are using it.
So the next step is that, to see if Newcastle is interested.
If you
Right.
give us permission to, yes.
because there will be a budget effect to them, I'm sure, if they have to maintain and do what Emily's been doing to go out there. and
Yeah, it takes
someone
quite a lot
to
of
do
time.
stuff, Yeah,
And I can't ever remember a time where we activated that EMA or the AM radio.
Yeah,
It
Station.
doesn't span very far from where it's located. You mostly can hit it in the Newcastle area, and anything beyond that, it's not functional.
And we originally put it up for our benefit, or was it somebody asked us to put the AM frequency up?
It was a priority of previous EMA administrations,
Okay,
and we just don't have the capacity
okay.
to operate the equipment, and at this point, we might as well find another purpose for that equipment instead of us continuing to maintain
Okay.
a location with no benefit whatsoever.
And no effect to what you do. You may actually help you do if you
No.
don't have to go up there and.
It would
stuff.
just, it saves a lot of time, and a lot has changed in the last couple of years. We used to have 2 vehicles so that I could send a staff member out to do it, but we don't have that capacity anymore, and I'm not going to ask for that capacity right now. So that's, again, yeah, it's just,
I move to allow the EMA director to contact Newcastle and offer them the tower position contingent on the landowner's consent.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions?
I'm good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor. So you have
Go
another
for it.
little
Good luck.
project
I know,
ahead of you.
just have to send some letters.
Yeah.
And in our contract, it says that we have to give the landowners a year notice, so this might take a little bit more time. Again, everything is depending on how they feel about the next steps is all.
Will this be a surprise to Newcastle? Have you discussed it at all with them before?
We've had, I guess, minor conversations around this time last year. We were trying to talk about a different solution and trying to get the system up to a spot that it would be easy to hand it off to them. However, the solar company that we've been working with has been not the greatest. And I spend a lot of time on the phone with them being more upset than anything. So it's just time for us.
And if the landowners are agreeable, we'll speed up that time.
So we'll just more to
You'll hear
hear.
more about this later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, keep us informed. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A few things for you this morning. So to start, I am seeking a go-ahead from you to apply to the fiscal 26 EPA Brownfields Assessment Grant application. This is a federal grant application that we've applied for a few times. We've been successful in years past. Mary Ellen successfully ran this program. It ended in 2023, and we've applied for the past 2 years. We've been told by reviewers that our application has been an A, and we need an A+ in order to be awarded. For fiscal year 26, the EPA is anticipating 70 of these awards, so we have a pretty high likelihood. We feel, and we've heard that similar feedback from the EPA reviewers who reviewed our application last year. We were at like an A partial plus. There was 2 minor sections where really we just need to change a sentence or 2, so it's not a heavy lift to reapply. And if we're successful, this would bring $500,000 in assessment grant money to Lincoln County for brownfield site assessments. So the application isn't due until January 28th, which feels pretty far away, but with the holidays, it'll be here before we know it. So I'm here to ask for permission to move forward with this application.
Is there a motion?
Move to allow the director of the LCRPC to pursue the grant application for brownfields assessment.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded.
To-
This is, you said 70.
$500,000 if it's awarded, and really it's mostly a pass-through. So most of that money would go towards an assessment company that does these brownfields assessments on behalf of municipalities, property owners.
Well, this isn't the first time we've done this.
That's correct, right?
Does PFAS qualify as brownfield?
I think my understanding from the assessment company that we've worked with in years past is that you can be a little flexible once you have the funding on what sites apply and what you're looking at on those sites. Anything that can hopefully move the needle from taking it from a brownfield into a redevelopment project, EPA is open to, so possibly.
Thank you.
For the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 in favor.
Thank you. The next piece I have for you is we currently have a contract. It's an annual contract with the new Municipal Planning Assistance Program at the state of Maine. It used to be housed at the Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, and it recently moved to the Maine Office of Community Affairs. This contract provides us with technical assistance monies to work with towns directly on land use ordinances, on coastal issues, and they have found some additional funding in the state budget to award each regional planning organization across the state an additional $1,800 in funds for 2026 to be used to train RPO staff on FEMA floodplain management requirements. There are only 20 certified FEMA floodplain managers in the entire state of Maine. And so the state would like to see that number increase. And they thought that the most efficient way to do it would be to award additional funds to regional planning organizations so that we can be trained in this and then be certified in each county. So this $1,800 pays for the training. And the nice thing is it's pre-recorded, so we will all sit in our conference room together. So all of our staff will be trained as opposed to just one person. So they've submitted to us a contract amendment for that additional $1,800, and I'm seeking your approval and signature on that contract amendment.
Move to approve the Municipal Planning Assistance Program contract amendment.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0.
So Commissioner Blodgett, I just need your signature on a couple of seconds. The first is here. Here. My next agenda item is bittersweet. I am asking you to accept Curtis Brown's employee resignation from full-time employment with us at the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission. Curtis has been with us since April of 2024 as our land use and transportation planner and has been an exceptional addition to the RPC. He has decided he wants to go back and pursue a master's degree in analytics as well as in geographic information systems. So he will be attending the Rue Institute for the analyst masters and USM for the GIS certification. So we're very excited for him. It's a huge opportunity to continue his education and refine his interest in the planning field. It's a bummer for us that he is not able to stay on with us full time. We have talked, Carrie and I have talked to Curtis, and he does have some interest in staying on pretty much per diem, I think is a fair way to describe it. So he won't be gone forever. He'll still be able to do some assistance to us remotely for a few hours a week as needed, especially as we gear up for a busy grant season over the next couple months.
I'll move to accept the employee resignation of Curtis Brown with great regret.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything else? You want to add anything, Carrie?
I would echo what Emily has said, that we are very much encouraging Curtis to stay on in a per diem capacity. He has a tremendous amount of skill that really play into the department's goals. And I really foresee additional grant revenue coming in to the department that could offset any future costs that this might.
So that would mean he would be working with you for an indefinite period of time
Mhm.
coming up.
It's
Right.
needed.
As-
It wouldn't be a guaranteed amount of hours, but as we have projects come up and as his schedule allows him with his.
Well, it
coursework.
would help to broaden your activities in the planning office, I would assume.
It would be nice to have his continued support on projects that he's currently working on. If we have, need additional capacity on those, as well as assist with the needs of communities, especially with grant writing. We're anticipating there's 4 grants programs that are all going to be due within about a week of each other in March. So we're expecting Q1 of 2026 to be incredibly busy, and Curtis has already said that he would love to be able to help out where needed with that grant writing on behalf of our towns too. So it'll be nice to have him, even though it'll be remote, so we won't see him in the office, to have that added capacity to keep things moving forward in the planning office as we fill this position. So related to that.
Just a minute, we need to vote.
Oh, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor of the motion for resignation.
And can we also have permission to post the vacancy?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Thank you.
So go for it.
Okay, last one, I promise, and then I'll be on my way.
It's the town.
In getting Curtis's resignation and talking with Carrie, she asked me to take a look at the job description for the land use and transportation planner, which was last revised in February of 2024. I made a few minor edits, really because there was a shift at the state in where offices that we work with all the time sat. They used to be across different governmental agencies, and in September, they all moved to what's now called the Main Office of Community Affairs. The acronym is MOCA, so you may hear me talk about that with future grant opportunities. The purpose is it's meant to be a one-stop shop for municipalities to call in and find out about anything from housing to floodplain management to municipal planning assistance. I'm trying to think of who else has moved in there. A whole bunch. The code enforcement office at the state has moved into this Main Office of Community Affairs. So I just cleaned up our job description to reflect MOCA and take out some of those other agencies where we wouldn't be working with them as often now that these departments within the agencies have moved. So there's just 2 sections where that change has been made, but everything else in the job description remains the same. So I'm looking to get an approval to update this job description with that technical change.
So moved.
Second, moved and seconded. Any other questions on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You're so-
Well, good luck.
Insurance on.
So we're gonna go into truck
Going,
repair.
going into truck repair, so we have 2 Kenworth roll-off trucks. The newest one is the 2019. And it's been experiencing some phantom code issues, so the check engine light will come on. We've been chasing this for a few months now, trying to figure out what the problem is. Kenworth had it down in Scarborough, and they did some repairs. They replaced the injectors on it, hoping that that would solve it. And after that repair was done, the codes came back. So Kenworth reached out to the manufacturer of the engine and was diagnosing it with their assistance, and they discovered that the exhaust manifold had a crack.
The what had?
Exhaust manifold had a crack in it, so that needed to be replaced. The total repair cost for several different visits related to this is $7,670.28. This will come out of the truck repair line. We talked about the life expectancy of this truck and whether or not we should be concerned about having these high cost repairs, and the truck itself is actually in really good shape. It's only maybe about halfway through its life expectancy, so talking about replacing a truck is premature right now. Having a repair cost, although the $7,000 amount is high, it's still very much lower than trying to plan for a new truck. So at this point in time, I ask permission to pay for these repairs.
And the repairs will solve the engine light
They have.
issue it has.
They have,
Yeah, and it was particularly that cracked manifold.
it was. The code issue has gone away now.
Okay. Move to approve the purchase authorization for New England Kenworth truck repairs at $7,670.28.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. No, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor. Registry of Deeds.
Registry of Deeds. So our Register of Deeds has presented a 2026 fee schedule. There's a change to one of the items, and that is the attestation cost. It was formerly $1 per document, and it's being recommended to change that amount to $5 per document.
Inflation.
Inflation, it hasn't changed in many years.
That's what the court charges for and have charged for quite a while anyways. Or to boot, but the email fee is what catches my attention. How can you do pages? It says $22.25 per page. That must be for like whatever attachment is there, or do you know?
I
mean,
can ask, I don't know the
It-
answer to that.
Seems like a weird fee. It's, I think it would be one flat fee because it's one email, but it must be based on the attachment, I'm guessing.
I'll get an answer for you.
Thank you.
Could we have a motion, please?
Move to accept the 2026 fee schedule for the Lincoln County Registry of Deeds.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
The next item is third tax abatement application that we have received. This is from the property owners named Carolyn Hardman. She has submitted an application for the commissioners to consider, and it's very similar to the other two that we received from the town of Noblesboro. So
Is this a
like-
neighboring property of one of
It
them?
is.
Yeah,
It is, they're all on that same
Sewers Road.
waterfront
Yeah.
area. So at this point, I'd like you to accept the application. What she submitted is complete. And I'd like to possibly schedule this alongside the second abatement hearing. that we
The
have.
same
Yeah,
day.
Same day.
Could we have a motion to that effect?
Move to accept the tax abatement application for Hardman versus Town of Noblesboro.
Second,
Moved and seconded, with that date consideration.
Date to be considered.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
They're piling up.
They're piling up, yeah. The next item is a report that we received from one of the recipients of our opioid settlement grants. To refresh your memory, we had several community organizations that received opioid settlement grant funds to do a variety of different projects related to this issue. Hardy Roots is one of those recipients, and I reached out to every one of them and asked them to submit a report for the end of the year so that I could then forward that information along to the Attorney General's office. This coming January, we're required to file an annual report with how the opioid settlement funds have been spent. So the best way for me to find out is to contact them, and I received one report from Hardy Roots. And just to give you a really high level summary, they partner with 9 schools to offer kids from K through 12 nature-based restorative supporting during the academic day. And they have a location in Bremen, an actual camp where the kids can go to. They served 982 youth in all of 2025, and that is far exceeding their 700 kids that they were hoping to reach. They used our funds to have a matching award for a grant that would fund a licensed clinical social worker position. Our dollars were empowering for them so that they could hire that person. They had a target of 25 individual youths to serve one-on-one therapy, and they exceeded that goal by serving 53 youths. They had a goal to have 150 youth to be served through group experience led by the licensed clinical social worker, and that goal was exceeded by serving 187 kids.
This is all in this camp down in Bremen?
Yeah, they're doing some really incredible work down there.
Is that associated with that conservation camp down there?
I think they're a standalone entity. They started their own nonprofit specifically to reach out to kids in the community.
Do you know the 9 schools that they partnered with?
They didn't list that.
Yeah.
But that's quite a few kids though, too. that they
It's a
mentioned.
lot,
A lot of kids,
a lot of kids.
a lot of names to remember.
Yeah, they were busy. Oh,
I was gonna say,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is more than just for a 3-week class.
no,
Hmm.
it's been a year-long. They've been addressing this all year.
Hmm.
It's not just a summer camp, it's programming all year long. One of the really incredible goals that they reached was by having a licensed clinical social worker, they were able to apply for through the state, they were able to apply to become a licensed mental health provider, and they can now bill insurance for covered services so that they can be more self-sufficient in their programming.
And this organization is the Hardy Roots.
Hardy Roots. Yep. They were hoping to reach out to 50 teens, ages 13 through 18. They reached 559 teens in that age group.
How broad an area are they covering?
A lot of
That's more people than there are in Bremen.
Well, it's not just Bremen, it's
Well, if it's 9
nine
schools,
different schools.
that-
in
yeah.
there.
you know, you assume many of them are in Lincoln County, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yep.
Very thorough report, and it sounds very, like the money was put to good use.
yeah, they really are.
And hope they're a model for other awardees of reporting in.
So far, what I've seen, they're all doing some really targeted work, but impactful work. So I expect to receive more of these, and as they come in, I'll present them to you. If you'd like any of these organizations to come in person, they're all willing to do that as well.
It would be helpful to know those 9 schools if you could.
So would you like for the record, to recognize this
Yes,
report?
please. Yes, please.
So Ed, because with these numbers, that may be helpful to fall back on.
Well, it needs to be reported to the state, and this is good
Th-
data to share.
This is a significant number, I would think.
I'll move to accept the grant report from Hardy Roots.
Second,
Moved and seconded. No other questions? All in favor? Aye, 3-0 in favor. Great.
The next item I'd like to present to you is kind of a unique situation. We plan for replacement of computers all year long. We've got a schedule of different computers that we have in offices and cruisers at the comm center, all over in all of our departments, there's computers. And we know that they have a life cycle and we have a strategic process of replacing them and relocating them. So for example, the comm center computers are a higher capacity because of the processing that they're doing, but they have a shorter lifespan in that environment. That doesn't mean that that computer is no longer usable. We then take it out of service there and maybe it'll go into an office space where it's not such a high demand. But we usually spread those out all throughout the year. We'll buy 2 or 3 at a time, we'll get them in place, we'll buy another 2 or 3 and put them in place. This past week, I was contacted by our representative at Dell, who we buy most of our computers through. And the alert that we received is that there is a significant upward pressure on core memory component prices industry-wide, mainly DRAM and NAND, it's an industry term, because they're expecting to have a high demand on these components. There's concerns that the prices are going to skyrocket or the components won't be available for us at all. So what they're recommending is if we have the ability, consider making annual purchases now. So what that would mean is maybe instead of buying 2 or 3 every couple of months, maybe we buy 10 or 15 all at once. So I'd like to make that recommendation that we consider this. I don't have an amount yet. This would all come out of our reserve account. It's something that we fund annually. So
So
the money will be
we
there.
have the revenue or cash available.
Right, we would have the amount in the account, but what it would mean is we would receive a large volume all at once and they wouldn't be put into place for several months.
So where would they be stored?
So we would likely store them here in the admin department.
Okay, yeah.
They don't take up that much space, but
Okay.
they would be securely stored. We also have an IT room downstairs that we can put them in.
You find the pitch credible, it's just not a sales type of buy now and because.
No, I do find it credible.
It's
It's,
like,
yeah.
And,
A lot of agencies can't do this because they're on a fiscal year,
Hmm.
so they won't get new money until July. As we generally fund these through reserve, so it's got an ongoing balance. It's not an annual capital expenditure. In our operating budget, we have a little bit more flexibility with this. So,
and we usually buy direct instead of going to like Burgess or,
well, Burgess specs it all out through our Dell Premier account.
okay, so they're
Which is-
still involved.
Oh,
right, in the process.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You don't want me in these things.
So we need a motion to approve the
I just want your permission to
pre,
move forward with this
Okay.
approach. I don't have a purchase order at this point in time.
but to move forward.
Okay, shall do.
Well, we haven't voted on that. Do you want to vote?
We
on
don't
it?
need a vote yet. I'll bring a purchase order once I have
Okay.
some numbers for you.
But it makes sense, to me at least.
And I did talk to Mike already about that approach and
Okay,
he's
yeah.
very much
He
supportive
said
of
it
that.
made sense. okay.
Yeah. And the next item is an update to the Community Navigator contract. We have, excuse me, we have a 3-year commitment to CLC YMCA using ARPA funds for the Community Navigator program. I built in an increase into the ARPA dollars so that we would have enough funding in that amount, excuse me, for an annual increase. What this contract represents is about a 4% increase over the current year. The new amount is $152,225.40, and this represents funding for 2 full-time salaries, all the benefits, training, any kind of IT, travel, that kind of costs. It's pretty much a duplicate of the previous 2 contracts. It's just an extension with an increase for cost of living.
At some point, it might be good for everyone. And even now that we have with the TV, someone come in and give us kind of a,
Absolutely. I know Karen Ann's working on their annual report for us, so I can ask her to come present it in person. that would be really
Right.
good for you to hear from
I
her.
think she's tried before and she was sick or.
Yeah,
some type
she
of
had
conflict.
one planned and had
Yeah.
an illness that she was dealing with.
Do we have to accept that move to accept the amendment to
Yes,
the MOU with CLC YMCA?
is that
Seconded,
your motion?
That was.
and I seconded it.
No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 in favor.
So we also have a relationship with the Community Resource Council in Booth Bay. Booth Bay Harbor, I forget which, excuse me. So they offer the same services down in the Booth Bay Peninsula area. We have funded them on a per capita equation. So what I do is I take the CLC agreement and then apply that same funding formula to the CRC payment. I'd like permission to increase their annual amount by that same percentage. Excuse me. And that is also an ARPA funded allocation. They don't send us a contract. We just provide them with funding towards their program in the same capacity.
So we wouldn't actually do an MOU like we did
No.
there, it's just.
Just make a approval for a payment to them.
Yep.
And I can bring that as a purchase order for the next meeting. if
But do you
you're more
want that
comfortable.
motion now?
I'd like permission to do that. Yes, please.
Move to approve Communities Resource Council agreement for 2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded for the Booth Bay Peninsula. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 in favor.
Thank you.
Everybody in this building sounds great today.
Yeah.
Myself included.
Should put up a shield up front here, right?
So you barely cough. Okay. So I have an update for you on the public safety building project. Commissioner Levesque and I met with our consultants, who also have the engineer and the architect. And we reviewed the parcels that were previously on the list of different parcels that we were considering. They did some mapping of where the building might possibly be located. It's very, very preliminary. The purpose of that was just to make sure that what we're considering is viable for what the building requirements would be. So we looked at the outline of the two different parcels. We looked at the topography of those parcels. They did some basic sketches of what the building would look like, where parking areas would be. And then
Could look like. No.
could, oh,
would.
yeah, could very, very much just a crayon drawing at this point. And then what traffic flow could look like on that parcel. So the parcel that we're looking at right now is viable. The previous parcel that was still on the list, they did the same thing where they mapped out where a building could go and where parking could go. Again, very viable. I would require a little bit more site work in the back for multi-tiered parking, only because of the grade. But very much viable in that sense, not very viable in the sense that the owners aren't willing to sell at this point. So
Well, that's pretty important.
Yeah, we would love to consider it.
You think, right?
Yeah.
You don't just start earthwork out there.
We would love to consider it,
Yeah.
however, it's kind of not really. It's not really something that we can be considering at this point. And that's unfortunate because there was another partnership that we may have been able to have in a municipal sense that was adjacent to that. The other piece that I need you to be thinking about also is there's two parcels that if you combine them together, they're about 10 acres. Our consultants did take a look at it and I've been asked to put that back on the table for them to map out. There are some concerns that the consultants have about the location. However, if you're agreeable, I'll send that directive back to them to do some of this mapping.
But don't we need 15 acres?
We do need 15 acres.
So how does that
Well,
pass the straight face test?
if it's something that the topography and all of the other things that seem to be limiting, if we can get past all of that, it could present itself in a multi-tier building, multi-level building instead of a single story. You could do-
Building up.
could build
instead
up
of out.
instead of out. The other thing to factor into that conversation is that if that were to be the final site, it would be very unlikely that we could build a tower on that site, and then we wouldn't need the land for that. So my question for you today is, do you want to move forward with what the consultants are proposing? Do you want to consider more sites? And I apologize that I'm fumbling with all these papers. I meant to give you these before the meeting. So you can see what.
Well, where does the group that's doing this stand on what they want to do?
The consultants are encouraging us to make a decision on where we want to head with it. There is a parcel available for sale right now. And if it's what you decide upon, then we could start doing negotiations with acquiring that. Or putting a contingent offer based on all the regulatory analysis that would need
And
to
the
happen.
committee, consultants, etc., favor this one that's readily available now.
Well, what has happened is we have narrowed the list down to 2 parcels. Everything else that was on the list was eliminated.
Well, okay, you have
So
one,
this other one that I told you about wasn't really on that list.
but let's say the one that you're talking about now is available. The other one is small
It's smaller than
than what was
what
really,
we're really looking for, yes.
Is that one for sale too, do you know?
I believe that the owners are interested in
Oh, okay.
selling. I don't know what the price is, though.
Mhm.
We did go look at it. It has a grade that I think would be buildable.
this is the smaller site.
Yep.
On Route 1, easy access to, yeah, that must have.
Again, the committee has any, does the committee have any recommendations?
The committee wants us to move. Yeah.
Well,
Whether that's to consider more or to move forward with this, the longer you wait on this particular parcel, the greater likelihood that it won't be available. But if you find one that's better, then
that's
yeah,
always
I
the
know.
case.
I don't mean to be so vague. It's just,
But the consultants have already walked that smaller.
Yes.
Okay, and they didn't do a drawing or layover, so it must mean they're not in.
they did not.
Good.
at that point in time, we didn't tell them to add it to the list.
Oh, okay.
There were some neighboring concerns on other parcels that are adjacent to this. If you'd like me to show you, I have an aerial photo.
Are they, like functionally problems or, safety issues or what, are the neighboring?
So is here.
That's the,
Okay.
that's the larger one you're talking about.
This is the 10-acre.
That's 10 acres.
Is there a structure on there?
No,
What's this? Is there,
this is the neighboring parcel.
really? I would think 10 acres is bigger, like,
It goes out to here more.
okay. Is, and
There
that's
is-
not exactly
Can you see?
flat, it's a little bit uphill,
Yeah, it's a little
But-
uphill, but
but not,
it's
yeah.
buildable.
it's buildable.
This is the smaller one. Because they're talking about
This is.
9,000
All of this is
gallon
a crop
storage, 100,000 gallon storage. So there are fuel tanks
Mm.
in around the area.
Yes.
Well, we
Of the
have
smaller one.
EMA here, is that a viable thing to be near that tank? Or it causes safety concerns, though?
These two facilities are required to report to the state annually on what they're storing there.
Hmm.
And these volumes are based on what's reported to the state. There's also a large tower right here, so trying to,
You couldn't put another one nearby without interfering with each other.
Right.
Even if you had the elevation of.
right,
So this is the smaller unit.
Yes.
That little unit. David asked a question and she smiled and shook her head. I don't know. That shook her head. There isn't any restriction.
comments from the back?
Well,
No, we're not
it's
asking
a-
you.
it's an ideal site, but it's not viable. I was just talking with the EMA director. She's done a little research on the safety concerns regarding this, particularly the propane depot that's next door. It's not viable.
We have the capability in-house to do projection blast maps. Absolute worst case scenario, which is 1 in 10,000. Our building would not be sustainable. And things that I have to consider are my office has to be open if something like that were to happen or anything were to happen to either one of those facilities. And we also have to consider that our 24/7 center has to be housed within that building. So
Is
it's not
there,
my decision.
yeah.
I will voice my concerns.
Well, that's 60,000 gallons, whatever that means. But that's a big,
And
Oh, that's,
big tank.
that's that one. There's another one over here that's 30,000.
and
Oh, well,
even
good. Well, we can add
with the
more.
leak and vapors and the way, the wind direction from either facility, we would be in a risk zone.
is there a prescribed distance that one should be away from those type of tanks or whatever?
Not in that vicinity. I don't,
Oh,
again, it all depends on it. Everything in my system is situation dependent. It's not just one scenario covers it all, right? We're
You
dependent on
could
weather.
probably create a radius around those facilities that you would not want to be in.
Yeah, and it's
okay, yeah.
not anywhere near. If we're looking
Okay.
worst case scenario, it would not be within that vicinity at all.
We want to know what vicinity is. I do anyway. Specific.
I believe that it's a 2-mile radius. if I remember correctly.
which is do not build within that area because it's risky, yeah, okay.
But since you had all this stuff and a neighbor also there, so a lot of activity of propane, kerosene.
Yeah, and my, again, system is situation dependent, and I was only able to create a scenario based on one tank problem.
And we have a diesel depot there also.
It's too bad because the location seems almost ideal. Not as ideal as down the road when they won't sell to us, but it being small
Yeah,
and
it's a beautiful
dangerous.
spot, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't require us to have direct access on Route 1, which is another plus. You could have access on the
Right.
Sheepscot Road, so you're not dumping out on the highway, but it's just not gonna work.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
know, I think it would be great as well. It just,
It looks like it's just facing a lot of issues.
Right. Let's you
That's-
get those
that kinda
guys to
narrows
move
that
their
down.
tanks away.
That narrows that down.
So am I hearing you support us moving in the other direction for the other parcel?
There seems to be less issues there, aren't there?
I'm not aware of any issues that are like these ones.
Well, that's,
And just to be clear, you're asking about the one the further down Route 1,
Right.
not the one that's not for sale.
It's not in the ideal location, in my opinion, but I haven't found anything that's
But-
buildable,
Yeah,
for sale, or that owners are willing to sell.
so this is the one that's,
This is where the consultants are. They're asking us to move forward on.
and that's the one, that's the piece of land on the eastern side of Damascotta.
Correct. Now, there's a lot of work that has to happen after we decide on a parcel, but until we can get to an agreement on where we're headed, we can't even start with that.
well, I like it. It's still good access to Route 1. It obviously doesn't help with the Sheepskip Road certainly, but up the road, you can get through Noblesboro, but still. Easy on, easy off, I would think, with the long runs, so emergency vehicles leaving quickly gives motorists a chance to see them, I would think. It's good in that respect. It's not in the dead middle of the area, but it's not like Wiscasset, it's still on one side of the county, so we get more to the middle.
Right.
Well, the other one seems we're in a fuel depot. With all possible choices of fuel.
I didn't see firewood on the list, but
Well, that's the one.
Well, if we did
a lot of woods there.
We can get people out there splitting wood.
Sheriff, you have any thoughts on that one further down the Route 1?
No, I mean, my only it's not ideal in the sense that our goal was really to try to stay between the peninsulas.
Yeah.
It's a little further north than what we, but
Right.
it's still pretty central, as you just pointed out. At this point, we don't have a lot of other options unless we go further off on Route 1. I mean, that's one option we haven't researched a lot. We've talked about it to some extent, but the further off you get off from Route 1, that wasn't our goal, but that,
Well, there are a lot of goals, a lot of possibilities off Route 1,
Right.
but Hibbett Score would be
but,
cheap.
I mean, I didn't mean terribly far,
Right.
but you know what I mean? If
But
we
for
didn't
response
even look a
times,
mile
yeah.
off Route 1, you know what I mean,
Right.
and try to get us on some of those other secondary roads, so. But I'm not suggesting we do that,
Yeah.
not a bad site at all.
Well, it's
Right.
close to home.
Yeah,
I would have liked that other one, but just they are not, they thought the project was great, and if they were ready to sell, they would have, but they're not ready at this point. So our second choice has to be now first, I guess.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that a motion that we'll move forward with, the property on, in Damascotta as shown on this map here. Which is not titled, but. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Let me say,
is there,
he's still looking 2 miles.
Not
Doing
for
his
me.
mapping. No,
that just seems so far off with all of this, that fuel issue.
but even if you went 2 miles up the Sheepscot Road to get off there, um. You'd still gotta come down Sheepscot to get to Route 1, so, which is. Crazy intersection as it is already.
But you could go down Lewis Hill. And go out that one. If you were farther up Sheepscot,
Yeah,
because we did look at a parcel
Right,
that was
right,
farther up that road.
right. But I'm thinking safety and response time, and that must add extra time to get to Route 1 where you can really get somewhere. Nothing's ideal, I guess, in the woods. So, yes, that was my motion to move forward with the other one. Continuing exploring that.
Well, do we need to? Where are we? I'll second that if we can move ahead on something.
Okay, so now we have to just decide to vote or more discussion.
Anything else?
For that, no, I need some direction.
Yeah, we have a motion anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed,
I'm a nay.
2-0, or 2-1. Positive.
Can I ask what
Yeah,
you're
probably would
looking
have
for?
wanted to hear that, but
Just want to be west of the Damascotta River. That's all.
So the two parcels that you asked me about before, one is only 5 acres, I believe,
Mhm.
and has buildings on it, and the other one's no longer for sale. The only other parcel that comes to mind that we looked at was the one that's next to Sherman Lake.
Mhm.
And the terrain on it, it was just unbuildable for what we're looking for.
Yep.
Is there somewhere else you'd like me to look at, or?
I don't know. It's a hard sell for my district. To make response times longer.
There are, if I could, there are a
Yeah.
couple, I mean, if you wanted us to look a little bit further, there are a couple of lots, good sized lots, a little further up. Sheepscot Road. Nobody's reached out to them because we didn't look that far down Lynch Road or Dodge Road on the other side. Which would get us back in that. Between the peninsula kind of thing, so I mean, we purposely didn't go very far in that direction. It's not to say that we can't, if that's what the board would like us to do, or I know it slows the process down, which, but. It's there are some of those there, I think that I respectfully to my colleague. A 2-mile blast radius. That's great, that makes sense on paper, but. Even the city of Portland doesn't do that, I mean, look at the tanks down the road from Portland PD. You know what I mean, so there has to be a safety zone, I'm not suggesting that, but 2 miles, like for example, this new lot. That you just talked about looking at but as the crow flies, is not 2 miles from the Colby and Gale plant on Biscay Road, so. But we don't, you know what I mean, so I think that's a broad a broad, generalization, that's just my opinion. But, so, I mean, there are other places that we can look if that's what the board would like us to do. I
Well,
think is-
my immediate concern is once you get off of Route 1 deeper into Sheepshead is the zoning in Newcastle, and would it be
Yeah, I
a
have no
permitted
idea.
zone? So, that would be my first concern. And then again, the response time, the further you get off of Route 1.
The two lots I was referring to, one is actually directly behind the lot that's not viable, which would make it not viable as well. It's a 55-acre lot. and then
Still up of
on Sheepshead
Sheepshead.
Road, right there on the left-hand side. There's a
Okay.
house on it, but there's a big chunk of land there. The next one is just past the railroad tracks. That's an 80-acre piece. It's on the right-hand side of the road. Again, there's a home on it. That's not the home we're not interested in, but the part of the parcel might. And that's only another, quarter of a mile up Sheepshead Road.
But
It
wouldn't
may
that
still
be,
be too close.
wouldn't that be
um,
problematic with the railroad tracks there too?
Railroad tracks as well right now. I know, Dragon Cement opened again, and so that's mostly what's being transported up through the county. But I don't know what that exactly entails, because we haven't seen a report from them since they've started transporting again.
How many conversations have we had with the state about the different areas of even allowing a driveway off of Route 1?
We haven't really at
We
this point,
haven't.
other than existing, we've
There's
looked.
curb cuts.
Do we have,
Yeah.
do we have to, well, I mean, on this Noblesboro piece, where does that become a closed access highway? On the town line piece, I guess.
Those are some of the things that we need to do yet.
But that
And
one
so,
has-
we
has
get
a-
permission
has
to do
access
that.
to- There is access there, isn't it, right now,
There's a curb cut there, no.
on that particular one?
Mhm.
I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to make a decision.
Well, I think we just voted to move forward on this one, didn't we,
Okay.
to explore that more?
Okay,
Well, if I could, Mr. Chair, I'll just be candid, right? This is a big project, right? We haven't seen a project like this since we built the jail. And I think it's important if we're, as we move if this project moves forward, it's gonna be important to be united on being able to support whatever we're doing. This may or may not have to go to countywide referendum.
it
You know,
will.
yeah, so, and you're talking about a substantial investment, which I think is worthwhile, and I think we can do a good job at. But, having experienced it back when we did Two Bridges, there's just a lot of legwork that goes into bringing the county together and understanding, the nuances of it. And, if we need to slow down and do a little bit more work, so we could have a unanimous support from the board, it may be well worth our while in the long term. I know it's early on, you take that, leave it. Mr. Blodgett, you remember back what we went through with Two Bridges. This was not apples and apples by any means, in the sense that that's a jail project. But it's a large construction project that will require, public support, and we're all gonna need to be I think being all on the same page is really crucial, the best we can. If that means slowing down, then I think that's worthwhile, if that's what we have to do. That's just a thought, for what it's worth. Again, drawing from past experiences.
Well. Case of, do we move forward or not?
Well, Sheriff, you mentioned the two properties off of Route 1. are there others too off of Route 1 for consideration, other than those two that
Oh.
would still meet some of the goals that my understanding is out there to, increase response times, center you more in the county?
I think, I don't know how to answer that question. We didn't look, we looked at a few, as Carrie pointed out,
Mhm.
off of Route 1. But we didn't look very hard, right? Cause our goal was really to be on Route 1 if. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say that somewhere between. The Pioneer Motel and the Damascotta River. Off of Route 1, I'm just using a landmark somewhere in there, you know what I mean?
Right.
We could go further off Route 1 and identify other sites. And kind of start over. Or not necessarily start over, but at least to add to the site that you've already identified, if it's just gonna take a little bit more work and a little bit more time. For us to do, probably a little bit more money with the consultants. I don't know what that agreement is, but we didn't go very far in that direction. I would be really surprised if there aren't other sites that we could take a look at. You know what I mean? If we broaden that expansion off of Route 1 a little bit. And all I'm saying is I think that this is an important enough project that we need to. I would be much more comfortable if all the three of you were together on it. Going into it, cause it's a lot of work.
Right,
There's no guarantees anyway,
right.
but.
And
So
Commissioner.
I think if Commissioner Bukowski has some concerns, it may be worth taking another look. That's just my thought.
Is your concern just the position between or that side of the Damascotta River, or is there other concern?
Well, I think you'd really want to look at response times wherever you want to put it, and you could probably easily make a table of 10 or so different intersections of areas and see what your response time looks like from these different locations. But I don't know, I think about summer traffic.
Right. Well, and
And I
I'm
have to be
yeah.
a little self-interested on my people. They're not used to having it not right in Wiscasset.
well, they're all our people, right?
But
I hope.
they started picking us for a district in 1970, whatever.
So if we went off Route 1, is there any opposition to us looking more broadly than just on Route 1?
That doesn't bother me at all. It's really up to the sheriff's office. They're gonna be the ones that have to take that extra turn and. If I go down in history as being the guy that said, we don't need to put that thing on Route 1. I don't know. But I mean, you guys have the vote to go ahead with the Damascotta Noblesboro one. And that's not a done deal either. There's
No.
there's
it's
many,
not.
many, many hurdles.
right.
And if people are gonna be having this be their workplace for decades,
So-
we wanna have the right place.
And Carrie, you've mentioned like the consultants, want to move forward, and that is. And the sheriff mentioned maybe an additional cost by having to look at additional properties. How would, if we do put the brakes on a little bit now and look at additional properties, how does that affect the deal with the consultants and?
I'm sure
timing and
yeah,
everything.
it'll increase the cost. I don't know what that number is today, but they're still willing to work with us. I don't want to give you that impression that they're not. It's just a matter of how many more parcels do you want to consider?
Mhm.
What direction you want me to take this in?
Mhm.
I'm happy to start looking elsewhere.
Well, my biggest concern on Route 1 in Newcastle is that, the 10-acre lot looks like it's in the highway commercial district, but the spots further up the Sheepscot Road is the rural district, which I would think we wouldn't allow such a facility up there anyways. But I don't want to do guesswork on that. So if that's a question, then maybe it would be comforting to people to know whether or not those are permissible anyways. So, maybe planning, we could take some time for planning to look into that,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to see if that makes sense.
they did the initial analysis for us on the parcels that we were considering, so.
And they gave those were permitted for the type of building we want to do. But not these on the Sheepscot Road, right? Or
There was one on
further. back.
Sheepscot Road that we initially looked at. We were contacted by the owner and that was the first one we considered, but it wasn't really a viable building site for us.
So then the planning department didn't look into whether or not that worked. Okay.
It had some significant grade and
Right.
wetland issues.
Right. Well, I'm not convinced we can find a better place yet, but we haven't been looking elsewhere too, and nobody's done any response studies. I'm just assuming that facing and sitting on Route 1 is gonna make it faster response times. Maybe that doesn't hold true. But we have a place that's available and the consultants say it's workable. So, I don't know, what do you think on retracting our vote and continuing to look at?
Well, are we at a point where just maybe you're not ever finding the perfect lot?
And that's what I'm concerned
Because
about, yeah.
we do have to consider marsh land, which is substantial. Along Route 1.
Right. And without a list of other alternatives, I think we should go with the one that's available to us at the moment.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I would continue. But I understand the concerns, but we're just limited to the space of the best places, I guess.
Okay, so what I hear you say
We're
is we're
sticking
moving
with
forward with
motion.
the motion. Okay, so I do not have experience negotiating contracts like this. Are you available to help with that? Okay, thank you. We can connect on
Yeah.
what that
we
looks
can
like
do-
at a future point. Okay. So the next item, if you're ready, is the opioid settlement funding grant application that we talked about at a previous meeting. I just wanted to give you an update. This is the proposal to provide $20,000 in funding to help with the startup cost for a female recovery residence.
Mhm.
And I did reach out to the person that has made the application. At that point in time, she was still waiting on her approval from the IRS to be designated as nonprofit. That kind of sat on the pile during the government shutdown. And she's required to have that in order to be licensed through the national organization that supports these types of residents. So as far as I know, that hasn't moved forward since I last reached out to her, and it's still, I think if I understood your concerns before, that needs to be approved before we can move this application forward. So I'll just hold on to this until I hear back that the nonprofit has been awarded, and then you can consider whether or not you need fund.
Do you have any feel of how much time is needed? And is this something that takes years?
I don't believe so. I think nonprofit status should come through relatively easy, but with the backlog during the government shutdown, who knows how long it's gonna take them to get caught up. She has closed on the property so that she owns that property
She does
now.
own it now.
You're not required to hold onto the application until she gets awarded this, but she can't open her facility
Right.
without
The
um,
license.
doing all the startup projects and then also buying the furniture that she's intending to purchase. So I'll hold on to this unless you want.
Okay,
Okay. All right. Commissioners' updates.
Is there anything you want to discuss?
That's just a copy for you to have.
Okay.
It's not an agenda item.
Thank-
It's just,
Okay.
we got the signed agreement and
So we had the MCCA meeting here in Lincoln County, and thank you for Commissioner Bukowski and for coming out to the reception on the 9th. It was seemed like people like to be in Lincoln County. I asked about the jail tour, and it seemed like a comment that I heard was that we have one of the newest facilities in the state, so it wasn't just a regular old jail to visit. And during that visit, it's my understanding they talked about collaboration a bit and what we're doing in Lincoln County for that. Other than that, there's not much really to report about the MCCA visit to Lincoln County.
well, we might comment that we were the first ones to be in the Northeast. And it appears now there's three other counties that are looking at going into a sort of a joint operation.
Well, they're trying, right, but nothing's solidified yet.
no, there's just starting
As far
talks.
as
I think
But
it's
still,
Oxford.
it takes, since 1760, but the counties had their own jail.
Mhm.
And now,
And now, since things are so expensive, regionalization on various things are probably fairly wise. But you also have to have the right partners in those
absolutely.
in those efforts. So and it's great to see that we're partnering at least for a year with Knox to see how that works out.
You would never have thought of this happening 20 years ago.
Would they have
Or
run
30
you out
years
of
ago.
town for suggesting such a thing? Or put you in that jail, maybe. It's the only update I had.
The Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission will have their full board meeting in person at the Planning Commission on Thursday, the 18th at 6 p.m. I'll be in attendance. And there is a Coastal Counties Workforce Board meeting in January. So we'll bring that date up next meeting. That's it for me.
And
How are the funds flowing in that?
I don't think there's been many slowdowns in terms of federal things.
Yeah, because the feds don't like to share usually.
No, it's too bad. But I don't think there's been significant withholdings.
No, I haven't heard of any backlogs on that.
In today's world.
Anything we are missing, we won't cry over.
All right, I have 3 executive sessions today. We've been busy. So the first one is for personnel, 1 MRSA 4056A.
I'd like to go to a motion to go into executive session under 4056A for a personnel issue.
Seconded.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
3-0.
Thank you.